That clock's wrong, and I'll open today's meeting by asking for apologies. I've got apologies from Liz Smith. Urgent items of business, I have none. Declarations of interest. I think Sandra, David and myself are declaring an interest in item 10, the crematorium feasibility report and design proposals. Writing that, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right, Chair, and I'll leave the room. Thank you.
Minutes of the previous meeting, you'll find these on page, whatever it is, 4, 5. You've all read these? You all think they're a true and correct record? Yeah?
Move them as a true and correct record, Councillor McGregor.
Seconded. All in favour? That's unanimous. I've got no matters from scrutiny. There's no budget and policy framework items. The next one is the floor show for Clive Mosby. Budget monitoring, Q1. You'll find some between 11 and 34. Clive.
Thank you for that, Chair. Does the new title attract some sort of extra SRA within this system that we've got within the council?
No, it's actually a reduction.
Is it?
Saving money.
I'm quite happy to do that in order to meet the council's needs on the financial positions I'll outline now. Bless you, mate. Okay. Yeah, it is me again. I'm on first, so you're saving the best till last, which is Liz, and she's not here, so but anyway. Really, as it says in this summary, it's update executive on the financial position of the council following the first quarter's budget monitoring exercise, the general fund housing revenue account, capital programme and treasury management activity. I moved on to page 13, which is obviously the general fund account. And what you're reading 1.2 on the second sort of line there, 2021 showed a funding deficit of 2.91 million, but just over $250,000. But with some small movements in council tax and other bits in there, that's now been reduced down to £180,000. With salary budgets for 2021 in 1.3, well, that's reviewed in October 2020, and that's going to be part of preparing the medium-term financial plan for 21-22 and it all. So that'll be ongoing from in there. 1.4 gives us an outline of the 3 directorates we've got in here, with the corporate resources showing a favourable variance of 0.257 million. Development director showing an adverse variance of 0.252 million. And the environmental enforcement directorate again showing a favourable variance of 0.039 million. 1.6 shows that the overall position and a quarter on there's a favourable variance of 0.124 million. But budget pressures are being caused by the pandemic, and leisure income, is not fully covered in it all. Budget is coming back now, so that is moving forward in it all due to the restrictions being lifted. Although the reduced budget for planning income in the medium-term financial plan in light of the pandemic had been reduced, we've actually received 0.035 more in. So, planning are doing well with fees. And in fact, again, last year, they did well with fees. I think pretty much double them at the end of the day. So that was quite good in it all. Over a number of years, when we've had sort of good times now, we've not spent the money, we've actually put it away in the NNDR growth protection reserve. And over the 4-year plan now that we've got the medium-term financial plan, we've been using those reserves to actually top up, as you might say, to make sure that we do produce that balanced budget, what we have to do within financial regulations. And when we move across to 1.9, it does show us that that reserve is not sustainable. In fact, it does run out and there is no more money left in there. So we have to find other ways then of balancing that budget. The table at under 1.9 just show that the current budget shortfall, and this is without the efficiencies that have not yet been identified, is £180,000 for the coming year, £292,000 for the year after, £508,000 rising to £3.6 million in 24-25. Hopefully we will get those efficiencies as outlined there, because most of the council tax sort of increases and various other bits that come along there that we can actually use. So we are actually hoping to have a budget, a balanced budget in 21-22 of 0, as it says under the bottom line there. But I do have to say within that, there is quite a few, if you like, reports coming along where there is budget increases. And so that is going to vary now. And we will be working out on that later on at the end of this month when we produce the year 25, 26, and it all. The Public Accounts Committee, have been looking at various funding, and it's been put off in it all, such as fair funding review and business rates reset. And it does look as though they're probably going to be delayed again. It does benefit us on the business rate because at the end of the day, we've got a lower base where we're working from. And if the business rate reset is looked at, that base will rise and the overall money that we're getting will be reduced. So, to some degree, it does help us within our endeavours to balance stuff. But we've got to wait for expenditure review to see what's happening. But we have to make estimates on where we are in it all. So we'll wait for that coming through. That's general fund. I don't know if there's any questions on that, but if there isn't, I'll move on to Argent Revenue Account, which is on page 16.
Have you got any questions on general fund? When you said budget changes, I think perhaps you need to mention that budgetary income, there's some probably income from growth and things like that that will be included rather than budget expenditure.
Yeah, I mean, so it's always, we don't want to reduce expenditure really, because if we reduce expenditure, we reduce services, and
Right.
we don't want that to happen. It's not part of what we're here to do. So yeah, we do look to Grant and his thing to produce stuff. And in fact, I have sort of emailed Grant, and he is producing for us together with Liz a report for later on this end of this month that we can build into medium-term financial plan to show that any growth that's coming through to feed that in, to hopefully make the figures that we've got under the table under 1.9, not as critical or not as stark as they seem there. But that's going, and we're having this conversation. We are in a meeting, and that obviously will be planned into that medium-term financial plan for the year after 24, 25, and the years up to that.
That's why it needed perhaps a little bit of clarification.
I'll give it you. I hope I'll give it you anyway. If there are any questions, give us a shout on it. Still quite happy to take.
Any questions, Clive? No, carry on. HRA, Clive.
Okay, yeah, HR, obviously, their income, there's a variance of basically £500,000 in there, or 5.35 million. It's really, as it says in there, it's due to the timing of the rent-free weeks in the first quarter and that sort of thing at all. But, there is quite a few more voids than we're expecting, and so that, again, is having that adverse effect. But there again, I have been working with Sandra, and I've been working with others in that, Karen, to try and outline what we can do to try and get some of the voids off. Sadly, on voids, it's like a triple whammy for us at the end of the day. We have to pay council tax on the voids. We don't collect rent in, and we don't obviously collect council tax in as well. So there's like a triple whammy on that one for us. But we are trying to work with, with housing across the piece in it all to try and get that down and to get that figure reduced down there. So there's that at the present, but same say, we are doing some work within it to try and address it. On expenditure at 1.6, there is obviously a favourable variance. You can see there 3.58 million, and there's the 3 points underneath, what sort of accounting for that in it all. So really, I suppose overall summary, it says in 1.7, there is a reduction income caused by voids at either level, and there is a void rent loss by ongoing ambitions, really. And this is, I suppose, an ambitious council. We're trying to do work, certainly in my patch in Blackwall. We're doing work in Tipshaw, and we're doing work up in Whitwell, where we do have to keep some voids on side, management voids, in order to decamp people as we keep improving the properties for the council. So that does cause that bit more. Maybe in future we'll do one at a time instead of having three, and we'll maybe not have quite so many management voids. And there's lessons to be learned here, and we can do it, I suppose. So that's really good news. That's positive stuff what we are doing in order to maintain and improve our housing stock for the residents of the district. But it does create a bit of a problem on the void payments end of the day.
I'm sure our officers, especially in housing, are listening intently to what you're saying, Clive. Yeah.
Well,
Duncan?
Duncan? Sorry. Have we done anybody a question for me? All right, move on. Yeah,
Duncan?
they're working well. We are working together. We're not sat in little silos and defending our own things. We are working together and trying to understand each other's problems.
Duncan?
Thank you. A comment. I'm pleased to hear the comment that you've made about voids. This is not a new problem that we've had. It's been an ongoing problem constantly. And the income that we can lose is absolutely crucial to our development for new housing, etc. But it's not just the rent you lose, it's the point the council tax, which also helps not just this council, but helps other parishes and so forth. Really, really important that these voids, and I remember we're talking, Sandra, some time ago about our policy of looking at these voids. In other words, instead of waiting to them to do major repairs, there's certain little repairs that the people can get in there and then do the bigger picture later on. Because the average rent now is a lot of money on each individual property that we're losing. And I made comment the other day to somebody else about my concerns about the voids being such that it can have an impact on the authority. So I'm very happy and pleased that we're working together to try to get this underway. Thank you.
Sandra?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, we are working hard together to get the void, up and running, but there are some voids where what we keep, they're just not fit for purpose, so we just can't, we can't re-let them. But they do stay empty on, on like an estate, because we've got other things planned for that estate. But some are really not fit for purpose, the bungalows especially. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Sandra. Anybody else? Grant?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we're very aware of a lot of issues surrounding voids. One of the first things Karen and I did when we took up post was to get the team to strip back all the processes in relation to voids in order to find out where the issues were, so that we could then set about trying to, well, not trying to address them, but to address them. In relation to the management voids, we're just undertaking a piece of work at the moment to identify exactly where the management voids are and then put a programme of demolition in place. So for instance, at Briar Close, if we can come get a row of properties all in one place, which is not going to affect anyone around them, we can demolish and make the site nice and safe and clear without leaving them there to go to wrecking room for a month or two before we can get on site to start the proper redevelopment of the area. So that should help reduce some of the management voids across the district. Thank you.
Thanks, Grant. Mary?
Yeah, it is pleasing to know that now you're on the ball to deal with the voids. My argument's always been that the people are desperate to move. Some people are really desperate to move, and they take a key, and surely you could work round some residents that take the properties that are desperate to move and do stuff. I know you can't do major stuff around these residents, but like taking carpets up, taking kitchens out that's only been put in a few years and the person dies. I'm glad you're on the ball, Grant, because I know now that I feel that we'll get somewhere.
Anybody else? Sandra again?
Yeah, I understand Mary's point, and I've felt that, or I've always felt that as well. But I did go out with the team one day looking at a void, and it was surprising how many things had to be done to that property to make it safe to put our tenants in. Now, if we ask people who, if they want the carpets leaving down, what we don't know or understand is what's under that carpet. It may be something that the floor needs repairing and things like that. So there is a lot of issues, but I do know where you're coming from, because I've thought that as well. But I think we could look at some things like, if they want a new sink or toilet and things like that, I think we can look at that. Thank you.
All done? Clive?
Yeah, I just make a comment really. I mean, I make it on Tip Shelf at the end of the day. We look, we're on going hard at Tip Shelf, and there's some flats being demolished there. And quite frankly, they weren't demolishing. They're a bit of a disgrace thing, aren't they? And I look to Deborah next door to me to nod her head. And there's way there. And once they're knocked down, that'll be a big saving again. And so there's loads of bits of work going on, across the piece in it all, and that's really pleasing because people are starting to understand the interaction between one and another within it, and it's really good. So you know, the way we're doing it at present, you know, we'll keep working at it, and I'll keep annoying people, probably, in the nicest possible way, I hope. But, you know, it just needs keeping in there. And since Sandra's really good, we sit and talk many a time about different things informally and indeed formally. And it's good we've got this working relationship. But overall, you know, I'm comfortable where we're going because we are working to reduce that down.
Capital Programme, Clive,
Sandra.
again.
I was just going to mention, Chair, you mentioned Tibshell Flats. There's only 2 tenants left in Tibshell Flats before, you know, it's all been agreed that we demolish them. But we've got to understand as well that the tenants who live there, we can't just say, oh, you've got to go and live there, you've got to go and live there. They've got a choice of where they would like to live. And that sometimes proves difficult, finding properties, you know, for them to move into.
I'm sure you'll overcome these little problems, Sandra. Okay.
Yeah, I thank Sandra for the day for letting me sitting on a meeting when we were talking about this. It was quite enlightening, and it certainly helps me because I'm not the panacea of all knowledge within this authority, and it's good that I can learn and be told things at the end of the day to get me back on track again.
But at the end of the
rather
day,
than
you know,
ranting.
you've got to, everybody's got to recognise, including people that we represent, that, you know, we have to remove things that have gone by the sell-by date. We have to keep building. I mean, we started building, we built quite a number of new brand spanking new super duper council houses. But, you know, others have got to fall off the edge the other end. And, you know, that's life. You know, you knock some down, you build some new ones. You've always got to make progress. I mean, what's the old one? You know, you can't make omelette without breaking eggs. So, and I recognise that people don't like change, people don't like to see anything different, and so on. But at the end of the day, we've got to make progress because it's not for us; it's for kids, for their kids, and their kids. Capital Programme, Clive.
Yeah, okay. That's set out for you, as it says in there in Appendix 4. Profile budget for Q1 is 6.617 million, and the actual spend with non-commitments really to date is 3.938 million, which is 2.679 beyond the planned spend position. And there's 6 sort of numbers under there showing you where that sort of shortfall is coming in it all. Really, as it says under 1.21, there's no significant financial issues in the report, but it must be noted that the delivery of the approved capital programme, you know, is behind the profile position for Q1, so we are behind it all. So, but really not too bothered that. We'll try and catch that up in it.
I think something over the past 2 years has had an effect on that.
Yeah.
Deborah.
Yeah, if I could just comment on that one, the disabled facility grants that I know Mary will be interested in, which we've always had some concerns about how long they take. A lot of the time you can't get the contractors to do the work, and as Steve said, over the past year or so that's gotten even worse. But there is a new scheme that's just recently going to be started, which is to loan second-hand stair lifts as well, rather than purchasing brand new ones for everybody, which could expedite the process a little bit. I mean, I know as a fact, actually, we as a family bought a brand new stair lift. My mum installed it in the house, but she actually never came out of the hospital and never used it. So it was brand new. So that, fortunately, we found somebody who needed it and it was donated. But that must happen times numerous. So that could hopefully speed people. It might not speed the spending of the money, but it might speed people up in getting the facilities that they need for stair lifts. Just thought you'd be pleased to know that, Mary.
Sandra.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's not only stair lifts and things, it's like other items when people have them, when they've been, you know, when they've got to help them to move about their own property. They never ever take them back. They never take them back. They just throw them away. And to me, that's total waste. Yeah.
You know, talking about stair lifts, you know, everyone's very slight difference to them, you know. So you might be, because they fitted in one house, it might not fit the one next door, you know, so it's extremely difficult. And it actually, trying to make it fit can be more problematic than having a new one built. I'm not saying it would be that in all cases, but that sometimes is a contributory factor. Clive?
Yeah, if you don't know that, well, HRA 1.2 capital resources, obviously it says under the sufficient resource in place to finance the HRA actual expenditure and commitments to the end of this first quarter. And also with and again, general fund, you know, the general fund for the council, and it's all, again, part of the capital program is aligned with the financial arrangements. So, relatively okay on that bit. I'll move on to treasury management if nobody's got any questions on that.
Do you want to pass comment on
Can-
capital program grant?
No, I think where we see some slippages due to the progress of some of the contracts, but we are working hard to make sure that we're out to contract with all of them. We're seeing quite a significant increase in the cost of materials at the moment, which is causing them some concern because contract values are going up significantly due to the cost of timber in particular. But we may come back to it some future and just say we might want to delay some of these projects just because we don't feel we're going to get value for money. So we just need to keep a good eye on that.
Do you feel, Grant, that some contractors will be, the one contracts will be having second thoughts because of the building supply and things like that?
Definitely, there's a lot of nervousness around the putting a price in, and then the cost of materials going up, which actually in some cases may mean that the contract's losing money on a particular project. So some contractors are saying that they won't commit to a fixed price at this point in time. So we need to really need to keep a close eye on that. I'd rather not spend the capital money if we don't think that it's value for money. So we may come back and recommend something different to you in the not too distant future, but things may calm down.
Right. Timber and steel, I think they key.
Yeah.
Sandra?
Thanks, Chair. I just want to ask Clive, on general fund, G135 domestic violence worker, is that all, do we only employ that do they get funding for that every year? Do we, is it dependent on funding that we have a domestic violence worker?
Teresa?
I don't think so. I think we've got funding this year, but I think we have got a post. I can find out for definite and let you know.
Because I think that post, it's really important, that post. Yeah.
Karen, we'll get to the bottom of this eventually.
Yeah, just to confirm, we do have revenue budget for the domestic abuse worker. That's a funded post. But we have this year been given an extra £30,000 funding for the domestic abuse bill, which has just been introduced, and that will help us look at the requirements of implementation of that new bill. And Derbyshire County Council have been given about 1.4 million to carry out the requirements of that bill as well. So we're currently in the process of reviewing needs assessments around domestic abuse across the county. We'll be able to give you a full update on that in due course.
Okay, Sandra, back to your treasury management.
Yeah, I just, on about capital programs, we do review capital programs on an ongoing basis within it all. And if we don't see it being met, then we'll see, is it happening? Is it going to happen? And then that money is taken out of that capital program. And I agree what you're saying, Grant. I was listening to an article or somebody speaking, on Radio Sheffield, an era builder, and that, and he was saying the cost of the materials, this gone up 3 and 4 times within it all, and they just ain't got the people to do the work either. So it's all a bit of a mismatch. We're in uncharted waters here, aren't we? And we do need to keep us on it. And if a project ain't going to go ahead for whatever reason, because some of these projects with the capital monies that's put in, when they were put in a couple of years back, when things were a bit more stable and we knew where we were going, are probably going to be totally out of ordinary in it. So there will have to be reviews going through. So it is an ongoing, it's a fluid process, and we just need to keep us eye on it. So, reassuring members, it's not just stuck there. We do look at it and we do sort things through.
Right, Clive.
Okay, banging on to treasury management. Treasury management really is looking after your money, where we sort of invest it and what we do within it all. And you approved treasury management strategy for 2021 in February of this year within it all. And again, in Appendix 5, you can see where we are. Income received from investments is currently higher, and that's good news. We often give you good news, but it's a bit higher than it used to be. So I'd like that double minuting and probably put in capital letters in red. So yeah, it's a bit better. Interest rates on investments are generally lower. So, there's a caveat with these things, but I think the way things seem to be going, maybe interest rates will go up a bit. So we'll keep us on that. Really, Chair, that's me done. I'm sorry I've laboured it, but I think it's an important subject and topic, and we do need to keep us on it. Funding is the fundamental foundation of this council staying and working and delivering. So there are recommendations on page 11 at 1 and 2. If there's no more questions, Chair, I'm quite happy to move those.
Councillor McGregor, second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favour? That's carried. Fundamental reason for this authority to be here is not money. It's to provide services to people that we represent. Right, so we move on to it's exclusion of public.
Councillor McGregor, I'll move that under section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 1972, as amended, the public be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in the stated part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act, and it is not in the public interest for that to be revealed. I move.
That's been moved. It's seconded. Clive seconded it. All in favour? Right, we're now in exempt. Turn your cameras off and your